Rook says that the alien craft should be just up ahead, as we see that he was with Ben and Albedo in the proto-truck, flying through the air in spacecraft form. Albedo asking if he knows where it's from, though the Ravanagander says that it doesn't move like any ship he's seen. Ben says that Albedo is here for a learning experience and that he needs to stay close if something happens. Watching as the craft was flying around seemingly at random, Ben tells Albedo it's time for a bit of on-the-job training to take them down, and Albedo cheers. However, it was short-lived, as he says the pilot may be injured and that is the cause. So they should try to set the ship down someplace safe, causing Albedo to groan, hearing they wouldn't actually be doing fighting. Ben tells Albedo to dial up a flyer as the two drop out of the hatch, and once out in the open, they'd hit their upgraded Negatrix, renamed Duotrix as it was a second Omnitrix, now thanks to Azimuth, changing into Stinkfly as Ben landed on their back and they flew over to the craft with it still moving around at random. Albedo couldn't get close when they tried. The jets from the back either were too hot or they kept slamming into them by accident. Ben tells them that if they can't go at it from the sides, can't hit it from the front or the back, then what does that leave? Thinking for a moment, Albedo says that they either hit it from above or below, and since they can't fly without being transformed, they hit it from the top, as they then began flying faster, getting to the top of the craft and grabbing onto it. Once there, Ben hit the Duotrix symbol on Albedo, changing him from Stinkfly to Upgrade, and Albedo then melts down over the ship, taking control over it and getting it stabilized before they headed down towards the ground and landed it safely, popping open the hatch with Ben recognizing the young one inside as Rook's little brother. The young one starts to explain that Ravana has been invaded, saying that they must come quickly to help. Rook asks if their family is okay, but young one says that he does not know, as he went to find Blanco and Ben as soon as it happened, with Rook telling him that it was a brave thing for him to do so, and he was fortunate to make it to Earth. Albedo seems excited hearing that they'd finally get some action, and Ben tells him that he needs to stay put on Earth to help Max in case they decide to bring the fleet to Earth while he's away helping Ravana. And Rook tells Young One to go to the plumber base with Albedo, where he knows that he can remain safe for now. Once Ravana is free, he will return to bring him home. Both Albedo and Young One groan in annoyance hearing that they were supposed to just wait there, as Ben whistles and calls out to Ship, who was sleeping in the proto-truck from patrols earlier that day. He told Ship to take the two of them to Grandpa Max, and Ship nodded, barking his name as he bounced up and down and started to change form, wrapping himself around the kids as he had them buckled into the seats once he reached his full spacecraft size. Ben and Rook see that there wasn't really any ships around and took the proto-truck down to get a closer look to see if they could find out what was going on as they'd landed, but things seemed to be quiet. Honestly, a bit too quiet for Ben's taste. Shouldn't people be out here walking around chatting with neighbors, that sort of thing, for example? They ask Rook if that pipeline was always there because he didn't remember seeing it during their last visit. His Ravanagander partner says that they should follow it, as he hasn't seen it before either, and the two continue on investigating, finding his family in a clearing, scraping together Amber Ogia and acting strangely. Ben starts to recognize the speech patterns when Rook's father stuttered a bit when speaking to them, something that he hasn't done before, and whispered something to Rook, who nodded, walking over, saying that it was good to see his father again before zapping him just at the back of his head above where the spine stopped, causing Da to freak out for a moment and shake his head confused, then doing the same for the rest of his family, freeing them from whatever was going on. And Ben says that they need to regroup, so they go to Rook's family home for a moment to grab what they could and get out and get safe until they were able to better take care of things there and help free the other Ravanaganders and the planet from whatever was going on. Thankfully, after getting his family out of the control, they were able to get underground without the others under control being able to reach them before they could. They come across Rookshar and a plumber named Sheriff Watson, who explained that they went underground when all this started. There was a strange gas and it was like someone flipped a switch, and the others just started collecting Amber Ogia non-stop. Rook Brala asked where Young One was, worried about her youngest, but Rook puts her mind at ease, telling his mother that Young One was back on Earth with Ben's grandfather, where it would be safe for him, while they were working on taking down the invaders that he'd seen come to Ravana. Ben tells Da to protect his family, and he and Rook would go with Watson to take care of those collecting the Ogia, and Rook's father nodded as Ben runs runs off with Char saying that she was helping with the case, and she'd be going too. They shoot something as it was rising so that they don't get mind controlled, like in the show, making it faster to get around. They get to the device in question as Rook was investigating it, saying that it seems to be the origin of the mind control substance, with Atea coming down, kicking him in the back, telling him pause off, as Ben sighs, saying that they just went through all that once already. Then asked her if he was right in assuming she was planning to use it to control the minds of various planets' citizens. She says that he's got that right, and Ben asked where is the good doctor anyway, with Rook adding that they use the term loosely, mocking how Psychobo speaks, as they figured he was behind this from the speech patterns that his family had when they were being mind controlled, to collect more ambrosia than should have been needed. Psychobos appears ready to fight, as Rook tried to handle Atea, and Ben changed into a new form, Astrodactyl, then started fighting Psychobos with energy whips, kicking him into the ground, as he and Rook break the vials while fighting off the villains to get rid of what they were making, while at the same time fending them off. Astrodactyl tells Rook to get clear, as he charges up and fires a blast from his jetpack, like back appendage, destroying the machine in the process, though Atea tells them that they hadn't seen the last of her, as she showed that she'd managed to save some of whatever was in one of the vials, teleporting away with Psychobos in the process. Watson and Char had been fending off foot soldiers and managed to take down a squad, as Rook says that he should stay to protect his home, but his father Da says that their planet was a small part of the war, and that the incursions were planning something bigger. Go to Earth, find out what that is, and stop them. And telling his son that he's made him proud as a plumber and as a hero of their people. As they are leaving, Ben tells Da and the others to look out for a spaceship that was mostly black with green patterns. He's gonna send ship this way to drop off Young One, now that the main threat was no longer on their planet causing problems, and they nod, thanking Ben for their help.